Right, folks, let's get a word with the good professor, because last week we ran a story about mobile phone coverage in this part of the world. Not Wi-Fi now, but mobile signals when you're out and about. Many of you responded. Basically, this was the view of the Foyle Assemblyman, Mark H. Durkin, that mobile signals here in the northwest are worse than the Shetland Isles. I ran that past you lot online, and many indeed concur. I've never seen coverage so bad, says Barry Cunning for one. I was in Derry on Monday waiting on a call, had to go into a cafe to get Wi-Fi calls using their internet. This is not acceptable in a modern city. So why is that? And might the border be a defining difference here? Well, Kevin Curran is, of course, Professor of Cybersecurity with the Ulster University of McGee. Kevin, good to see you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mark.
Does it surprise you how rubbish it is? And indeed, is it your view that it is rubbish?
The stats don't lie. If you go to Ofcom, or really last year's Connected Nations UK mobile report, really, which the government come along and they say, well, what is the coverage of 4G and 3G and 5G in the UK? And they'd break it down by region. And generally, the UK itself, if you take England, for instance, getting 4G from all operators, generally England is 87%, and Northern Ireland is 73%.
Gosh, that's a difference.
And Scotland beat us by they're 86, Wales are 76, Northern Ireland 73. So we are the lowest. Mark's right about everything apart from one thing. Scotland is poor in some regions, and the Highlands and Shetlands and all. That's the one region which is worse than here in Derry, in other words, in Strabane.
But I mean, in the Republic, it's not, sometimes islands can be given priority. I mean, Arranmore in the west of Donegal, the government and the Republic said, look, let's give them great connectivity to try and get families out there. So, you know, it's clearly not this case, maybe up on Shetland.
There is a need. There's 37 regions in the UK where 4G coverage again from all operators again is less than 60%, and 5 of those regions are in the northwest of Ireland and in the southwest down near Fermanagh. But even Tyrone's better than Derry Strabane actually for getting connection from at least from all the operators really, or at least one.
But why is that? Why would the city be bad? I would have thought that they've more money to make in the populated areas, that they're going to put their boosters, their towers and stuff in Belfast first and then here second, or so you would have thought, Kevin.
Yeah, absolutely. Belfast has excellent coverage again, compared to our 73% is 99. Again, and 5G all over Belfast, where here it's really, it is hard because generally there are things we can put around here like political footballs, but this one is difficult to make it into a political position, unless, of course, local councils, again, are part of it. In other words, what it comes down to is masks, again. So, again...
and some people don't like them.
Exactly, and it comes down to local authorities to grant planning permission for masks. Masks can now be 30 metres, but generally they're 25 metres. Again, and also if residents complain again. So it would be worth investigating to see how much restrictions are there on planning permission, because it comes down to a commercial decision. There's 4 main mobile operators in the UK: O2, EE, 3 and Vodafone. Now Vodafone and 3 have merged to become the largest in the UK. Prior to that it was EE. Generally EE get the best, have the most coverage in the UK, but Vodafone and 3, 26,000 sites between them. So it would be interesting to see, does planning permission play a role in this? Because otherwise...
Or opposition, for that matter?
Because even if... because you could say, well, in the past politics, but if 50,000 people move to Strabane into a housing estate next week, the operators will be... All you'll see is BT vans in the road, or O2, because it's a commercial decision.
But is it incumbent then on the private sector to be the mover here? And they're not going to spend money unless they're going to make money back. I mean, maybe that should be... I mean, if you're going to get the contract to be, that company, should it be incumbent on the government to say it? And if you're going to get that money, you'll make loads of money in Belfast, but you've also got to look after Ballywalter. You've also got to look after Derry.
They've done that. Dee said a number of years ago, before now actually, the Shared Rural Network project aims to roll out to 95% of the UK, 4G that is.
Gotcha.
And of course they've just released a report for this year, and again what they've done is increase 4G coverage in the local area again. We're from at least one mobile network operator from 92% to 97%, but really the one we care about is from all operators, and that's gone from 61% to 76%. So this shared rural network scheme is 500 billion from the government, 500 billion from the likes of
billion?
Vodafone. Oh, sorry, million, my
right,
goodness.
Okay,
500 million from the private sector and 500 million from the government to improve and also to cover what we call the partial not spots.
The black spots, yeah.
Exactly. Well, the partial not spots are where you only get it from one operator.
Madam's Bank Road.
Exactly. And then there's total non-spots again, where you don't have any signal again. And they're trying, of course, to fill those in because, and it's incumbent upon them because actually the Emergency Services Radio Network has moved from being a proprietary network again, moving towards relying on 4G, 3G and 5G.
And would they have their own boosters? The way a lot of rural folk, go, look, I'll just stick a booster on the roof to give us our own kind of internet. It's only when it doesn't take a genius to work out, Kevin. Every vet out and about, if they can't find the address, every pizza delivery. Adrian Heaney was talking about this on last week's programmes. Every nurse, every carer, it touches everybody's life.
It does indeed. And there are not spots again, and you're in a not spot. I did your EY postcode again, and for EE and 3, you're limited indoors. Probably meaning you really get a bad signal if you're on EE or 3 in
I am
your
on
house.
one of those networks, and inside the house it's really good.
You're better to switch to O2 or Vodafone actually,
Get away.
for your area, yeah. And actually,
For my house.
and you were very lucky because over here in this
But there's a green box at the end of my street.
does it? And over
Does that
here,
not matter? I thought because we had the green box that we had.
Oh, I mean the green box. Maybe that's for broadband. I don't know
anything about this. I just pay money for it.
Exactly.
Right.
That's probably a broadband.
Can we spell this out when we're here? Right, so...
And here is awful in this street here is limited for EE. And
Radio Foyle.
Yeah, as you would know.
Rubbish.
Known for years. It's rubbish indoors here.
It's rubbish.
Even on the street. You
It's the BBC. It should be the best connected building in the blooming country.
But it does matter what network you're on.
Tell me about RV Street, because I'm going to talk to Kenny about this, my neighbour.
Oh, well, I mean, when you do the Ofcom website checker for your postcode, EE and 3 says it's limited for indoor, limited for voice and data.
What?
3 are the same.
I bought one of their fancy blooming wee white boxes off them 6 months ago, the wee Eero, EERO, and then the lights on all the time. See, you realise, Kevin, right? You're an academic, right?
Yeah.
I look at that white circular box and the red lights on, and I feel good about that.
Oh, sorry, you're talking about one you have inside your house.
Yeah.
Oh, you did buy a signal booster.
No,
yes.
I bought the white box thing for broadband. It's their new thing.
Oh, sorry,
and the red
yes.
lights on. It works.
Yeah, but that's broadband, and you know, but you can get mobile signal off of broadband. You can have a booster for your network.
I didn't know that.
You can get that from
In the house.
Yes, you can. If they think you're going to leave or whatever else, they will send you a signal, and therefore your little hub becomes a mobile mast really inside your house. I had one for years in Eglinton when I was with 3. Again, and they'll give it to you for free most of the time because they don't want to lose you as a customer.
Gosh.
But again, one thing I would tell people again is, because it does depend on your network, you could be lucky where you're in EE and it's got great coverage in your area and 3 is awful, but don't always go for the min 4. The Which survey in July there, Tesco Mobile come out the best for customers, and Smarty is one people would not have heard of.
You beat me to it. Alan Bratton, first in on our page. I've been on 5G, says Alan, for over a year here on the hill above Drumahoe using Smarty.
Yep.
I think they used the 3 network. It seems to have got stronger this last while, says Alan.
My son is using Smarty. There's a lot, so and Tesco Mobile as well, and Smarty, and then there's other ones called KipGaf and Libra again, which is, so don't always go for the main ones really. Just again go to survey.
How would you know? You see, you know how to do this because you'll just push 2 buttons on your smartphone and go, oh, here, you've only got 72.5 GVMBs in your street, and I wouldn't go. I'm going like, what? How do you check this stuff out?
It's different. Well, one thing I would say when you move into an area is always ask the neighbours again. Especially those
knock on the door.
Basically, ask them what they're using. Are people in the streets around you? What network are they on? And are they happy with that again?
Right.
A lot of people won't be able to give you a proper answer. They won't even. But definitely, and again, do the coverage checker and on Ofcom as well. And you have 14 days to change. You go off with your new SIM card.
How did you? How did you get my postcode? And what website did you use my postcode on?
I used your postcode on Signal Checker, and I did on the
Signal Checker.
Yeah, and on the Ofcom website as well. But I know your address.
Right. Jared says all the networks are aware of where the poor coverage and the black spots are. They just want to improve coverage by putting in more masts or upgrading. Unfortunately, planning applications, there you go, Kevin, are being blocked by individuals. Yeah. Masts are being set fire by some vandals on some sites. if anybody's blamed for poor service, all you have to do is look at the community. That's what is to blame. That's Jared's view. Roisin says, if I didn't have Wi-Fi calling, I'd never make a call or receive a call in my house. Maybe we should just go back to telephones. There's a big lead hanging out of them and that sort of thing up to your ear and all the rest. They never had bother. Barry, I've never seen coverage so bad. He says, yeah, there's Barry, this isn't acceptable. Glenn, the past couple of days I've had no signal whatsoever. I'm up at Lisnagelvin Shopping Centre. And then, Kevin, and I know, listen, you have had commercial dealings with Huawei, but without prejudice. Andrew Donahue says, isn't this an issue with removing Huawei tech from UK masts not having enough backup? They were the market leaders and best at this stuff. Yet after America, there's been a push to remove them and we're all suffering. And then Keith echoes that. He says it's because of Huawei and 5G. The government stopped us from using Huawei for 5G and now we're relying on older 5G stuff from Ericsson. Go over the border, check the speed, they use Huawei, see the difference. And listeners were telling us last week, 5G in Bridgend apparently is brilliant. Is there any truth in that?
Oh, absolutely. In 2020, the British government, because of national security fears, they said that the UK had to remove all Huawei equipment from the open and Iran section of the network as well, and could only provide up to 30% of the traffic could be using Huawei equipment. Now, Vodafone and the likes of the and also Three actually had planned and had in place already Huawei equipment because the 4G network was using a lot of Huawei equipment, and of course, whenever you're moving from 4G to 5G, you try to keep with the same supplier. Again, because there's not many competitors really, because after Huawei was removed, all you have left is Ericsson and Nokia really. And it's not that simple to switch out from this equipment. Again, when I just said that EE have 26,000 sites as well, and not to mention all the server rooms and everything else. Again, this is highly complex equipment, and it's got to be done in a rolling fashion where the network does not go down for even 1 second, really, as partly. But
the Republic has said they will use Huawei. They will use Huawei 5G. Is that right?
I'm certain they will. Like the Chinese are not like Ireland being neutral. And being just whatever. Why would the Chinese? Why would they worry about the Chinese attacking them? Again, so they're going to do what they do. So therefore, again, and 5G, the UK is the 5th lowest on the bottom in Europe for when it comes to 5G speeds. Again, of course, Paris and Lisbon and all these cities have up to 500 meg. I mean, they have excellent connections for 5G. So again, the surveys from around have shown that the UK is really falling behind with 5G.
Is that anything to do with Brexit in your view?
No, not Brexit. No, not Brexit. No, it's totally to do with the UK government because they had planned years ahead to be able, and also just by substituting Huawei equipment as well. It's not Ericsson, for instance, Nokia into the switches as well. It's just not that simple. These are complex systems as well. You have to build the software layers in between as well to be able to convert again. Because ideally, you always keep the same supplier for your 4G, your 5G, and coming around the corner again. So no, there's no doubt about it. I mean, it's also cost the likes of BT and these about 500 million, they say. But however, some of that was for obsolete 4G equipment. So sometimes they might be playing games here, but there is no doubt about it. It has cost the carriers, the mobile carriers in the UK, billions actually because of this decision.
Kevin, detail appreciated as always. And I get the crack. I don't understand anything about it. As I said, if the light is on the thing, I'm assured, and if it goes off, I'm not assured. That's as much as I know about stuff that I pay, hard-earned cash for in the house. People don't have a clue. I mean, you think this is easy, but for most people, this is just like, it's like, smoke and mirrors and spirits and, it's just people having a clue generally. I'm sure you know that, like.
Yes, I guess.
All right, then. Kevin, thank you very much indeed. Professor Kevin Curran there trying to steer us through the vagaries of 5G or its absence in this part of the world. So there you go. Many of you are concurring exactly that 5G is out and about mobile-wise is on occasions awful in this part of the world.